What's up, everybody? It's Trey Smith with College Game Time, back with another College Game Time YouTube video. Listen, I would have made this video hours ago if I was in position to do so. I've been sitting on everything I'm about to say in this video for hours now. Here in the last 45 minutes, 60 minutes or so, some of what I'm about to share here has kind of made its way on Twitter as well from some other probably more noteworthy personalities or content creators, whatever you want to call them. I don't know that it's earth-shattering, but it's valid information I'm about to share on this video. Before I get into it, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, watch it to the end, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, as it pertains to this sidebar you see over here, obviously Oregon, Washington, and then with lightweight Stanford and Cal are in the mix with the Big Ten. This isn't really new information. It's just resurfacing information. Oregon and Washington are hot right now. They've been hot, but it's becoming public now as it pertains to them joining the Big Ten. And then you've got Cal and Stanford that aren't quite the priority, but they're also in consideration. Stanford's going to become more of a priority to the Big Ten once Notre Dame pokes their head around the corner. Okay, once they poke their head out from the independent, the life of independent, that's a move that the Big Ten would make in hopes of down the line getting Notre Dame to join their conference. Okay, we know that. That's out there. It's been out there from multiple outlets, national outlets. It's been happening. It's been going on behind the scenes. Now it's becoming public as it pertains to this shakeup, even more of a shakeup with the Pac. Again, a couple videos ago, may have been the last video actually, where I said the reason why I don't have Oregon higher on my Big 12 expansion power rankings is for this right here. Okay. So with that being said, the next thing I want to talk about is this Arizona State, the clip of Arizona State's athletic director. I don't know if you've seen it yet. It's floating around on Twitter. I was going to play it for you, but just for the sake of timing and the production aspect of it, I'll just tell you what the quote of the clip was. Is Arizona State AD, let me pull it up here. Said, Arizona State, Ray Anderson said, no matter how it ends up, Arizona State will be in a good spot. That's Ray Anderson, the athletic director of Arizona State. He was asked about his thoughts on the Pac-12 situation. What's happening with the Pac-12? And he was like, oh, I can't say too much here. I don't want to say too much. I'll just say this, that no matter how it ends up, Arizona State will be in a good spot. Here's what that's implying, and this you can take this information to the bank. Arizona State is able to join the Big 12 along with Arizona. Okay? The Big 12 will not take Arizona State by themselves like they would take Arizona by themselves, but with Arizona, I mean, there's already been reports out there as far as them getting ready to take the leap. Arizona State also has an invite. Like, they would be accepted into the Big 12 along with Arizona. So here's what that means. You have Colorado, you have Arizona State, you have Arizona. That means the Big 12 is going to 16. Now, that last spot, most people are going to naturally assume it's Utah. Here's what you need to know. Brett Yormark wants UConn. Yormark wants UConn. And he's hoping that in getting Colorado, Arizona, and Arizona State, that is a good faith act that will allow him to win over the rest of the presidents and even the media partners, which I'm mainly talking about Fox. ESPN's all in on UConn to the Big 12. But winning over the rest of those votes to get UConn in. Yormark wants that Northeast territory. Yormark wants the basketball brands. And UConn, obviously, I wrote an article about it yesterday on 3 reasons why UConn to the Big 12. I know it's a polarizing topic of discussion right now on both sides, both on the Big 12 side and on the UConn fan base side. Some love it, some hate it. Whatever. Yormark wants UConn. But what could throw a wrench into this as far as UConn is if A, there's just this overwhelming support for Utah. B, Utah adamantly wants in. And I'd say C, the media partners. Meaning if Utah, if there is some sort of gap in the subsidizing of Utah opposed to UConn because Utah is coming from Power 5 and UConn technically is not. Now, I heard this from someone totally different than who I got Yormark wants UConn from, not quite as reliable. Seems to be confident that UConn would be subsidized. That's why I've kind of been saying that. I've been saying they would be subsidized based on that. That's not official. I don't think that's officially out there by any reporters or anything like that. But I think if you look at the brand, particularly on the basketball side of things, or really on the basketball side of things, UConn would bring, it would be enough to get them subsidized. But the bottom line is Yormark wants to bring UConn into the Big 12, kind of hoping he can leverage these other additions, being Colorado, which is already done, Arizona, Arizona State, then kind of leveraging that to bring in UConn. However, and listen, I got to say this because I feel like I have to go qualify this in the comments to a Utah fan. I don't intentionally leave Utah out of this expansion discussion and even lobby for UConn over Utah because I have some axe to grind for Utah, okay, or their fan base. I have no issues. I have no problems with Utah fan base or their program. I love Coach Witt. I met him at Pac-12 Media Days last year. Most down-to-earth, humble, solid guy I've ever met. Talked to him in the hotel lobby of LA Live for a few minutes and just on like a non-media type deal, right? So I just want to qualify that. But I've been pretty adamant about UConn joining the Big 12. And really, if you look at the entire makeup of the conference, I did that video on the pods, right? I had the Midwest pod or I had the Southwest pod. I had the Mountain pod and the Northeast pod, or the Eastern pod, not Northeast, Eastern pod. And in the Mountain pod, it was Colorado, BYU, Arizona, and then I had kind of a wild card. And I had it between San Diego State, Oregon State. And this was a little while ago. This was, I think, before the San Diego State stuff was as solid as it is. Or Arizona State, Oregon State, or San Diego State. I was kind of like, that could be the fourth member to round out that pod. And then the East pod was West Virginia, Cincy, UCF, and then UConn. And I just feel like my prediction as far as what's going to happen is this. Arizona, Arizona State, and UConn join the Big 12. When the smoke clears and the dust settles, that's what happens. Now, are there some wrenches that could be thrown into this that could keep Yormark? And what I mean is I think that's what Yormark wants to do. Are there some wrenches with the media deal? Are there some wrenches with the support from the presidents? Yes, there are. Now, the other piece to factor in here is just how big of an expansion are we talking? In time, you could very well see Utah and UConn along with some other possible ACC teams. Who knows? Maybe another Pac team, depending on just how much we're going to run this expansion bill up as far as, loading up the Big 12, loading up the Big 10, loading up the SEC, and them kind of being the three spearheading it. Obviously, SEC and Big Ten being on the football side. Big 12 having a quality football product with more parity in either of those two conferences, but really being the basketball brand of college athletics. So with that being said, who would you rather see, Utah or UConn? I think right now we can confidently say Arizona and Arizona State are next in that order, or they may come in together. Oregon, Washington to the Big Ten, Stanford, Cal sort of in the mix there as well. I think that's more of a play for Notre Dame as well. Yeah. And that's going to leave, it's going to come down to UConn or Utah as that last team. If Yormark has his way, it's UConn. If some of these other factors, presidents, the media deal, money, the revenue split, if it's me, like you have to subsidize UConn the same way you would Utah. Just from the basketball standpoint. Like, I think the basketball brand brings enough to the table to justify that, even though Utah right now brings a much better football product to the table. But as I've also been saying, there's still this part of me, I don't have any like inside information as it pertains to Utah and anything involved with them, but it just seems like from an outside looking in that they're going to stick with the Pac-12 till the wheels fall off. Unless, of course, the wheels end up falling off and then they're left with no choice. So, man, I don't know. You let me know what you're thinking. It's going to come down to those two. It's going to come down to those two. And it's just going to kind of be who gets their way, really. Man, then there's this stuff with Florida State coming together or coming out. It's from a bird's eye view, college football, college sports as we know it, it's changing forever. Obviously, you can attribute this going way back, but even in recent history, from the NIL to the transfer portal to the first sort of massive blow of realignment here in recent history as it pertains to OU and Texas jumping ship, and then you got Greg Sankey over here who's like trying to, in a sense, put an end to all the shakeup that's happening as a result of him poaching OU and Texas. It's like, come on, man. Anyways, I don't want to rabbit trail down that. That's all I got for today. Kind of my reaction to what's going on, what's already out there. Some of this I know is already out there on Twitter, but I had it hours ago. I just couldn't sit down and do this at that point in time. But anyways, that's it for me. That's all for today. Trey Smith, College Game Time.